Hey everybody, welcome back to Bar Run Forge. It's Troy and it's time for another video. We're going to do, I guess you would call it a review of this titanium fixture table, modular welding table. There's been a lot of these out there on YouTube and on the internet, and I want to try to do something a little bit different. I want to be simplistic in this. We purchased this for a specific reason. My welding my welding over the years has simply been this. I'm a farm welder. I weld things to put them back together. I like fabricating, but I've never gotten to the point where fabrication has been something that I do for a living. And that is kind of slightly changing here at the Forge because we've gotten requests that are going to require some real fabrication. And we're putting together a fabrication shop on the other side of the Forge. And so I have never ever had the opportunity to weld on a welding table. All of my welding has been done kind of with stuff propped up and been, I'm a farm welder. So there's never really been an opportunity to really clamp down and fixture up and really try to accurately put together stuff quite nicely. And I didn't want to jump in and buy the $8,000 fixture table and all the clamps and all that kind of fun stuff, which I would love to do. That would be great. And we have a budget. And I wanted to just get started. So we were at Harbor Freight not too long ago, and we came across this welding table that's kind of been in short supply. It seems to be a pretty popular table, and part of the reason is it's very affordable. It comes with tons of clamps and hold down fixtures and spacers. Really, at this point, in fact, we had a super coupon. I've seen these anywhere from $179 to $159, and then you get the super coupon. So really, for no more than probably $175, $179 max, you can get yourself a 3x2 fixture table. Now it is 1/4 inch thick, and we'll look at all these things and show you kind of some of the things that if this is what you're going to choose, you need to know. It's not something that, again, for the day-to-day welder who's going to be putting a lot of heat on stuff and really working hard. Again, we'll look at it, but it's just not one of those pieces. This is something where if you need a 3 foot by 2 foot and you're going to pay attention to your heat, you want to work up off the ground, I think this is going to be a great option for you. So that's really what we're going to do. I'm not really going to go through the assembly and the unpacking and all that kind of fun stuff. I know that these come in a pretty decent package. Again, there's 1,000 of these reviews, and they start with unpacking and how everything's put together and things like that. I'll probably just do a time lapse of me assembling it, and then we'll just take a look at it. So stick around. Well, let's get our initial thoughts and ideas about the table, how the assembly went together. Not really a major review here, just I want to see how this is going to work for us. So the first thing I'll say about this was the directions, the assembly, the setup, fairly simple. I do have one problem. The way the instructions it told you to do this was to take the 4 legs, turn them upside down, and then attach that bottom shelf or bottom bracket onto it. And that's just near impossible. It's a kind of a teardrop shape, so you can't really put it on that way and then try to take the whole assembly. You're supposed to take that whole assembly, turn it back upside down, and put it on the table, on the legs. Now, I love how it finally went together. I mean, you talk about simple. The bolts were all the same size bolts. There weren't that many. They're locking bolts, one washer, so you don't have a huge amount of hardware to deal with. Goes together pretty simple. I got one wrench, one socket, and the impact driver. Put it all together. I was able to put the legs on. What I ended up doing was putting the legs on solid. I thought about putting them on loose. I went ahead and put them on solid, turned the whole thing upside down. It didn't move or anything, it was fine. And then put that bottom shelf in, and it slipped right into place, no big deal. I don't, I'm looking at it right now, I don't see any major problems with this. I don't see any big deal about any of it. The feet went on fine. They are a little loose. I mean, you're talking about fit and finish. The feet screwed in really pretty loose. You might be able to put a nut on top of them and kind of sink them down a little bit. All in all, I think this is fine. Now, let's talk about the actual table itself. Again, I'm going to say this right up front. If you're a professional welder, I don't know why you're buying this table. Unless, of course, you have just one little section over somewhere where you want to maybe TIG or something like that. This is not for you. This is not for the professional welder. If you're a person who just, crying out loud, I was just on the floor putting this thing together. If you're tired of just welding on the floor or on a bench somewhere that you can't clamp things down to and things like that, I think this is a good option. We're going to look at that a little bit more. The top is 1/4 inch. I think it's about 1/4 inch. It's not that heavy, which means it's not that heavy to move around. It's not that heavy to deal with. The key here is this is not designed to put a whole bunch of heat to your table. If you've got an 1 inch or 2 inch thick table, let her rip. Put the heat to it. What that does, though, is that gives you a good surface. And I've already run the level across this to see if, in the straight edge, to see if it's perfectly flat and straight. There's some tables out there that claim to be perfect flat and all that kind of stuff. I don't know that this claims to be that, but it's pretty doggone good. Now, one of the things you can do if you find a little bit of a variance in the flatness, and I'll go over it again, is these countersunk screws, when you put it all together, the frame can kind of suck down a little section of that 1/4 inch plate. And so what you can do is literally just take that bolt out, put a shim underneath the table, and then sink it right back down. And you should be able to get it, just near perfectly flat. So if you're looking to just do some small stuff, I think this is already a great thing. I think I'll probably make a shelf, whether it be wood or expanded metal or something like that, to attach into here. And I'll be really honest with you. I think I'm probably going to drill holes here in these brackets for this bottom shelf and probably bolt it in. That's the only thing I really wish they would have done on the assembly, was make it possible to secure this bottom shelf a little bit better. That's it. That's absolutely it. A really cool feature of this table is this can be done as a tabletop. So these interior brackets right here are actually also feet. So you can take the bottom feet you have right there, or you could take it to a metal plate, drill 4 holes where these are threaded. You could bolt it from the bottom up to a plate, and you've got a fixture table ready to go. And that actually is an option for us. I'm considering, we've got a mobile cart in one of the other barns, that I'm going to put one of the other welders on and have a mobile cart. And I think it'd be really nice to have this kind of table up on top of that. So what I may do, we may get another one of these. If I like this, we may get another one of these, put that on top of that cart, and then you've got a mobile fixture table. Yes, it's not perfectly level, but that's not what I need it for. I'm not doing, especially in that building, stuff that has to be perfectly level. It's more like I need it to clamp it down. I need a good work surface, and I think that'll work great. But this can actually be done just as a tabletop. Really cool feature. Let's talk about one of the features that I think this table excels at, and not to the point that it is superior or it is the professional level, but with this table and this package, all of the stuff you see on the table comes with it. So you don't have to go out and buy the clamps, you don't have to go out and buy the stops, you don't have to go out and do all that kind of stuff. You get a great setup, a starter kit basically for this, and I think it's just phenomenal. I think it's just absolutely wonderful. For one thing, you get 4 of these clamps, and I'll quickly just demonstrate. So these hold down clamps, you pop those in a hole, one of those holes right there, reach up underneath, secure that. And again, you can do it hand tight. It doesn't really need to be any more than that. This slides up and down. And then if you want to just simply clamp your material down, there you go, clamp down. I think that's wonderful. I think that's fantastic. And that's easy. That's really, really easy. And I suppose, you know, if I wanted to do it this way, I could do it that way. Tilt that down a little bit, secure it down, secure it down that way. So great piece here. Again, you know, you just tighten that bolt down. If you wanted to do it with the wrench, I think it would be okay to have a wrench here at the table just for that, or maybe just a ratchet so you can ratchet it quickly. A couple other things. They have these V blocks right here, which just slip into the hole. And so if you've got round stock or a tube, or even something as simple as this, you can just set that right in there. Keeps it secure, and you can weld right from there. Now, if you had a long piece, you could put multiple of these in the holes in different configurations. Say, for instance, you were doing a exhaust pipe or a manifold or header or something like that. I think this would be a great option just to kind of lay that out like that. And what this also does, it keeps the piece up off the ground. Look at this. It's got enough of a slot in it. If I wanted to clamp that down like that, I could do it like that. So again, great thought there. And then they have these stops, and these stops are magnetic. And they just drop right down in here. So if you're trying to push right up against there, clamp your material down. Perfect. So that is definitely secure. And then if you wanted to, you got another option, which is these blocks over here. Take this off. These clamping blocks. And so that's set up to where you could do it like this. There are these magnetic blocks below. So you just put those up underneath, and it fits right in those 2 holes. These bolts go right through. Let's see if I can get this one to clamp down. So again, obviously you'd want to have a set of wrenches handy, and maybe an Allen wrench specifically for this table. Okay, so that secures that down. And you could mount in a couple different places. You can mount multiples of these so that if you had to move it from one side to the other, it's slotted. So you could get it in a pivot point and then screw it down or bolt it down, or you could put it where you could adjust it, maybe even as a stop. So you got this much, you got that much adjustability. For instance, if you were here with a piece and you wanted to clamp it in, you could clamp that in there up against that block so that you were secure that way, and then you'd have your piece clamped down. So this is multiple fixture options here on this table, and they're really simple. There's nothing complicated about any of it. These little blocks here are magnetic, so they stick up, so you're not dropping them when you go up underneath. And I just think it's such a cool little setup for these tables that I don't know how you could go wrong if you were just looking for a small fixture table to do simple welding. I think this is a great option, especially with all these clamping and tools and the stops and everything that goes with this table, I think would be kind of a silly thing not to at least explore it for sure. Final thoughts on the table. I think there's several things that I take away from the titanium fixture table, modular fixture table. Is first of all, I think it's a great value. First and foremost, you know, this is one of these pieces of equipment that I've been looking forward to using for some time, and for a couple reasons. Number one, I'm tired of welding on the ground, so this brings me up off the ground where I can work. I'm not completely all hunched over. I'm not down on my hands and knees trying to weld and trying to get stuff straight on uneven surfaces, as is common on a farm. So first and foremost, I'm excited of the fact that this is one of those options that I have where I can be up off the ground and working. Second part of this, it was inexpensive. I'm careful to say inexpensive and not cheap. This is not a cheap table, okay? Yes, it's 1/4 inch thick. Yes, it's titanium. You buy them at Harbor Freight. And are these top-notch, top-quality things? No. You paid $159 to $179 for it. Do not expect for this to be a top-tier fixture table. However, at the same time, for $159 to $179, you're going to get 4 of these clamps. You're getting 4 of those. You're getting all of these pucks that go down in the holes. The holes are super sharp and clean. In fact, I may take a deburr and just kind of ease those corners down. It's kind of rough as you're running your hand across it. Also on the edges, pretty sharp from the milling and the cutting. And again, I don't know what it would cost additional to get all of these fixtures if I just bought the table. So, you know, I'm going to go down below. I'll probably run a bolt through the teardrop portion of that, make a shelf down in there. I don't know that I really even need that, other than maybe just to take these fixtures and put down there, but I don't know that I even want to do that. I don't know whether I just want to chuck those things down to the bottom. What I'll probably do when I finally get this where it's going to go is essentially have a toolbox or something specific for these tools so I can go to them, maybe hang them up or something like that, go get them, bring them to the table. But we've got this for a reason. We're getting ready to start a fab shop in the other part of the building, and for right now we don't have that, so we're kind of forced into a smaller space, and we're still doing some welding and things like that, and all of our welding has to happen either at a vise or on the ground. And so this allows us to just move it over to the side, set it in a spot, and weld from there. You know, you could even put casters on the bottom of this thing if you didn't need the table to be already set and laser level. If you didn't need that, put this thing on casters, take it to where you need to work, weld, put it back if you're in a tight spot. Is this a pro table? Initially I was like, well, no, it's not a pro table. But then I got to thinking, what if I were at a pro shop and I did multiple items, say for instance I tigged multiple items a day, and that's the only thing I did, and I needed a workstation just for that, jigged up just for that, fixtured for that, 2x3 is all I needed. I can shove this thing in between 2 toolboxes or beside a countertop or anything like that and roll a chair right up to it, my pedal, I can go. And I think this is a great option. And if you're disciplined enough with a table like this and not bring over the torch and the 8-pound sledge and mount a big vise to it and wrenching and cranking on it, this will do exactly what it's designed to do. It is not designed for beating and banging in high heat to go on the table. It's 1/4 inch thick. And you know, with these fixtures, getting them up off the table and getting your work up off the table, I think, again, that's a phenomenal way to do things. If you look at all those that really honestly do fixturing the way it should be done, you get the work up off the table. And so that is going to be a big key. I think it'll help. You keep the surface clean, keep it free of spatter, and I think, again, it'll perform quite well. When it comes to these clamps and the adjustable stops as well, I just kind of came up with a thought. You know, you got the wrench that you're going to have for the nut there, and the Allen wrench for that. What if Titanium, if you're listening, and Harbor Freight, what if Titanium made a single tool to lock both of those in. For instance, say a box end wrench on one end and an Allen wrench on the other. And that way, you know, right now as it is, I'm going to have to put 2 hangers here or something to that effect. And then I'm going to have to go get a wrench and an Allen wrench out of my current tools, or go buy those 2 tools just to have for right here. Whereas if that tool were really handy, I could just grab a hold of that, lock them in, leave it lay there. In fact, if I do this, I'll probably put it on like a piece of cable or a chain or string or something like that, so I can just grab it, drop it, be done with it, which I think will be extremely handy. So all in all, like I said, this is not this brand better than that brand. Sure, some of the pro stuff, this is not a $10,000 table. This is a $159 to $179 table. I can't keep saying that enough. You can be welding on a fixture table in 15 minutes for no more than $179 with fixtures. I don't see how you could go wrong with that. Yes, if you need an 8-foot by 4-foot table that's 2 inches thick, get the checkbook out, spend the money on that. But if you just need to simply do some welding up off the ground and clamp it down and treat it properly and try to get a little bit better quality in your weld fixtures, I honestly don't know how you'd go wrong with this. The most exciting thing to me about this, guys, is that I don't have to weld on the ground anymore. And it's worth $179. I didn't pay that. I paid a lot less. So that's the most exciting thing about this. Guys, God bless you. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.